My name is Kimberly Nwachukwu. I'm a broadcast journalist. I currently work with Nigeria Info FM, and I present a weekly show called Hard Facts. During the week is usually 3 to 7 p.m. But every now and again, I do Saturday mornings, 5 to about 10 a.m. in the morning, and I was at work this morning. And I am delighted and honored to be one of the mentors for the Girl Pro program today, and to speak on the art of public speaking. And I'm sure you've attended perhaps a program, a presentation, a TED Talk, a meeting, even if it's your compound meeting, someone just stood up and was addressing the live audience. And you'd have thought at the end of the day, boy, that was awesome speech, man. And you perhaps want to shake them and hug them and tell them, boy, they delivered, they moved you, your emotions and all of that, it convinced you on what they were speaking about. And then you perhaps must have attended one or two, you felt like, boy, this speaker is a drag. I did not even understand what he or she was saying. I was sleeping all through. Now, nobody wants to be the speaker who people slept on or complained afterwards that they did not understand what happened or what he or she said. So public speaking is any presentation that is given live before an audience. As long as you have an audience of 2-3 people or a large gathering and you're standing before them, you're speaking with them, you have a mic in your hand or not, and speaking passionately about a particular subject matter. Breaking news, you're a public speaker. You're on the road to addressing people about something that you're convinced about and you're passionate about. And the goal of it is to educate people, to inform, to either entertain them or to influence their opinion or their thoughts about a particular matter. You see why I say that public speaking is important. And it's important that you know that public speaking requires the ability to develop and present an idea in a very persuasive and organized manner. Nobody, I repeat, nobody wants to listen to a speaker who is haphazard. Like you're going from here to there, you're not very coherent, your thoughts are not well stringed together. And at the end of the day, people are wondering, okay, what is the purpose of the 5 minutes of my life I spent listening to this person? So it means that you have to put your ideas together. Why is it important? Like I mentioned earlier, it's a great life skill that you must have. Improves your confidence and your critical thinking skills, because you have to now develop these ideas very concise and deliver them to an audience in a convincing manner. Improve your critical thinking skills. It helps in enhancing your leadership skill. It helps with also recognition in professional sphere. Public speaking is about your voice, your presentation, your stage presence, your eye contact, your body language, physical appearance, and words. Let me take my time to break it down. Now, voice is, are you projecting? Are you loud? It's not saying you must speak the Queen's English or have an American accent. Speak like you are, as long as your diction is clear. There's something we call elocution and your diction, like you're pronouncing your words clearly. People can understand what you mean. You're not mispronouncing words. And then you're not sounding timid such that your voice, you're swallowing every word you say, you're projecting. We can hear you crystal clear. Your mic is well positioned. We're not getting all of the pop sound and the likes of it. It tells me that you're confident, you're prepared for what you're going to speak about. So maintaining that voice level, that steadiness in your voice is very critical in public speaking. As I sometimes hear people speaking like, we can't hear you, they're holding onto the mic. You don't want to be that speaker. Or you don't want to be too loud and screaming. You throw some people off if you're yelling at them. I'm like, chill. You don't have to shout to drive the point home. So your voice, the pitch is very, very important. Then your presentation. I don't care how nice you sound. What are you saying with your presentation? What's the content that you have prepared at the end of the day? And that means that before all of this, you would have done a lot of homework to say, all right, I want to speak with a group of young, amazing ladies. They are intellectuals, they're intelligent. And I want to speak to them about public speaking. What am I saying to them that is new that they haven't heard before? Or how am I putting it together enough to excite them about public speaking. That's where presentation comes in, and it does take a lot of work to put your points together. Then your stage presence is very important. If you're sitting, if you're standing, it's important for you to know that beyond what is coming out of your mouth and your voice, that people are reading your entire presence. So if you're standing, you want to show a little bit of confidence by walking a little, not pacing. It can be distracting if you're pacing too much, but it depends on the kind of audience you have. You might just want to walk a little, command that audience that, all right, focus on me. I'm speaking. I have something new to share with you that perhaps you haven't heard before. I'm putting it in a new way to excite you. So that's what you do with your stage presence. You own that stage by how you speak. And that's why it's important that you dress well. Because if you're not properly dressed, you start to worry, like, oh, I hope my dress is not squeezed. I hope this is not happening. You don't want to be distracted by that complex. So for stage presence, it involves your dressing, how you look. It's not about being too expensive or putting too much jewelry. It's just being simple, being clean, and being presentable at the end of the day. Then making eye contact. I know that is something that some people deal with. So they always advise that you could just make 6 seconds eye contact with people. You can perhaps look a little above their heads or their forehead. If you don't want to look directly into their eyes, if you're one of those people like looking into someone's eyes can throw you off balance, you can do that. It's a skill that you need. Why? Because public speaking is not easy. You know what they call butterfly in your stomach. You get that tension a little bit, particularly if you're setting out the first time. The first time I used to speak on radio, I still do. And I got comfortable with radio. But when I had to transition from radio to going to a live audience, I was not prepared for seeing people eyeball to eyeball looking at me, evaluating me while I was making my point. And so I was a little bit jittery, but I mastered the act eventually to listening to other public speakers to see how they manage that stage presence and the end of it. So that I was not stuttering too much eventually. So all of these matters. Public speaking is about your body language. Like I mentioned, the things you do with your hand, with your body, your posture will tell people if you're prepared, if you're confident, if you know your onion, if you're good at this, or you're a pro at this, or you're a novice who is just starting out to addressing a crowd. They can always tell from your body language. I mentioned physical appearance and how you dress. It is very, very important that if you're going to stand before people, that you dress the parts. Make an effort. It's not about being expensive or being overly dressed, but you will know your audience, you know the occasion you're going for, and you dress appropriately for it. It helps for that particular appeal. Then the choice of word you use also. If you're dealing with intellectuals, you're dealing with academia, you know the kind of words you use for them. If you're addressing a group of market women, you know the balance, you know the expression, you want to use that also. You don't want to use big grammar for the wrong audience, and you don't want to be sounding street like you're from the trenches when you're talking with professor or you're talking with high-profile individuals. So it's important that you use the right words for the right audience. That's what public speaking really is about: voice presentation, stage presence, and the likes. I will always advise people to watch other experts. Who has a mentor? I'm not seeing all hands and the videos are off, but just raise your hand wherever you are. I'm not seeing you, but I want to know if you do have people like you consider mentors. Good thing that we have the Girl Pro program where people now have mentors if you've not had before. Or perhaps some individual that you love how they speak, how they carry themselves, their charisma, their persona when they're on stage, when they're dressing. They come with a certain fire. That's how you build it. Because you listen to people. I mean, I can go from the country director of Action Aid, Bola knows her very well, Madam Enya, when she's on, with her fro, and then she's talking and you're looking at her, this is someone who's very grounded and very passionate and very emotional when she talks about certain issue. Can talk about the former president of the US, Barack Obama, and people are like, is he using a teleprompter or is he saying all of these things from his head? Or breaking news, Obama uses a teleprompter half the time, but he's so strategically positioned and he's so brilliant at it that when he's navigating from one teleprompter to the other, you don't even notice that. And because he's well acquainted with what he's talking about, he knows the script, he knows the idea he's trying to put out, everything is smooth. They're very graceful speakers that you need to watch them. You can listen to also perhaps TED Talks and see how they put out their information, these life-changing ideas, how they do their presentation. So if you want to build your skills, it's important that you look at certain people that you admire, how they speak, and watch how they comport themselves. So another way to build your skill is to know your material. Be sure to have a strong knowledge base for the subject matter that you intend to speak on. No matter what it is, make sure you know that subject. The last thing you want is for people to, instead of asking you questions, they're correcting you. It's not altogether wrong if some people call you and give you perhaps a different perspective with new information. But for everybody to correct you consistently is to show that you're not so grounded. If somebody brings a different idea, it expands the conversation. So it's important that you know your material. Also, content is important. You might look fly, dress nice, and smell nice. But if your content is not putting these factors in, these 6 C's, clear, concise, concrete, coherent, correct, and all of that, there might be something off. People will get off thinking, she was great, but what did she talk about? They will ask afterwards, and you don't know because it didn't capture some very key, very important aspect. So this is important. And then you need to learn how to control your nerves. Aren't we all jittery? Just so you know, there's actually a fear of public speaking. What's it called again? Claustrophobia. Actually a fear of talking with a crowd of people. So you need to learn, build that confidence in yourself. Say to yourself, self, I can do this. All right, so before speaking, like I mentioned, you need to rehearse. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to know your audience. You need to know the occasion. You need to read the room so that you don't start off, because some people might want to do icebreakers and you start off with an inappropriate joke. Nobody wants that. If you're not even sure of your humor level, you might want to keep that out. Okay, if you have a good sense of humor, you could read the room and bring something out from there. If you think it's absolutely necessary to get the attention of the room. And then anticipate questions. And people might come with questions from just random questions. You're talking about public speaking and they don't want to take you about, so what do you even think about politics in 2023? I didn't talk about it, but expect 1 or 2 people in that room to come up from random direction. But your ability to also navigate them back to what it is we're talking about so that it's not all over the place. The conversation is also very, very important. That's key. And then the thing you're talking about, the subject matter, you tell them, you address the matter, you help to establish your credibility, you grab your audience, you get to the main issue, don't digress too much so that you're not losing the sequence of what it is you want to talk about and lose your audience. You might want to use examples here and there, but always bring it back to the subject matter. Mention questions, it will always come, and prepare yourself for that. Then summarize what it is tied to whatever it is you're talking about or it is you spoke about neatly so that people can have a crystallized, at least concise idea of what your subject matter is. I feel like there's a whole lot more to public speaking, but it's as simple as it gets. It's just rehearsing, knowing what you want to talk about, building your confidence, understanding your audience, and using the right language to communicate with your audience. If it's a pidgin English crowd that you're addressing, don't go and speak too much grammar. Come down to their level. The whole idea is the communication at the end of the day. Remember, you're to either inform them, educate them, entertain them, or help recalibrate their thinking, their idea about something. All right? So it's important that you speak in the language of the audience that you are addressing at the end of the day. I want questions, I want feedback,
right.
And the next one, that will help move things forward.
Right, but we've all been busy trying to Google your name and find that TED Talk.
No, do not.
So yeah, you gave yourself up. So now you're searching for that talk. All right, thank you. So ladies, thank you, Kimberly, for that apt session. Really straightforward, and we all got the point.